We are going to kick everything off with my two guests right here. We're going to be talking about menu revolution, driving metrics with menu engineering. And there's no two better people to talk about that than our two guests. First up is Gina Damon. Gina is the president of operational support for Compass One Healthcare. Her teams are responsible for the company's clinical nutrition and wellness, culinary retail, patient experience, marketing, and nursing engagement support teams. Gina, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And also joining us is Chef Kevin Dorr. He is the Senior Vice President of Culinary Strategy and Innovation for Morrison Healthcare. In his role, Kevin defines and executes Morrison Healthcare's culinary strategy and supports over 1,000 client locations. His teams work closely with Morrison operations and partners to ensure the goals and visions align while working to make the cafe an everyday destination for hospital caregivers and guests.
Well, thanks for the intro.
I'm telling you, that's a pretty good intro for both of you right there, right? Let's just jump right into it. Gina, what does menu engineering mean in a healthcare setting?
Well, it shouldn't mean anything different than it would mean in a regular retail setting, right?
Okay.
In a restaurant setting. But traditionally in healthcare, and what we're trying to move from is we want to have more of a focus on data and analytics and the consumer experience and really treat our patients like consumers. Patients have expectations. Just because you're admitted to a hospital tomorrow doesn't mean that you don't have those same preferences that you did yesterday. And we really want to tap into that and use that experience to drive metrics that matter.
You know, healthcare's not always been on the cutting edge of food service, to be honest with you, let's be frank.
Sure.
But I think, menu engineering has been around for a long time. Restaurant 101 would tell you, to lean in on things that your customers love, leverage the data to find out what needs to come off. And I think the customers are so educated now around food, more than they ever have been. We got an opportunity to make sure the menus are fresh, as food trends continue to change over time. The other thing is, I think, streamlining some of those things from the back of the house to make sure that we're just serving great food, whether that be a patient or a retail. Much of the focus for culinary in the past have been kind of on the retail side. The clinical teams will do the patient sides, and we are kind of bringing all of that under one umbrella. It makes so much sense in the back of the house, and it makes it a lot easier for our customers to choose as well.
I heard you say the word streamlining. So you're streamlining the menus, but why doesn't more options always equate to a better outcome?
It's actually just the opposite, other than maybe a Cheesecake Factory that's out there that has a giant book of menu options. The truth is, especially in the healthcare setting for patients, they really don't want so many choices. It's overwhelming. They've got a lot going on. Food is one place that they can have some comfort.
Sure.
And I think streamlining those things, also, it has a lot to do with a bit of a menu design. So it's not just what is on the menu, how that is laid out. Sometimes healthcare, the setting has been a bit more of a list of menu items. It's a paragraph. It's giant pages of all these options, and it's overwhelming for customers. So there is definitely an art and science to menu design. So it also allows our teams to do a better job in the back of the house. Having 100 menu items with the same amount of cooks is not setting them up for success. And so you start to do a lot of things mediocre, then a few things really, really well. And it also allows us to kind of give a little bit of an aha moment where somebody says, hey, I didn't see a grilled cheese on your menu. Can I make you one? Mm-hmm. It allows you to kind of give a little bit more of that human experience to say, yes, we'll take care of you. You don't have to put every item that's ever been in your kitchen on a menu. And I think there's a bit of an art and science and a balancing act to some of those things.
Gina, earlier you talked about technology and data. How do our systems help drive standardization and these types of impressive results?
Yeah. So for us, it really starts with our patient dining ecosystem. It's a really connected system from patient ordering to our menu management to purchasing. And, we talked a lot about data, but we've had hundreds of millions of meals placed through our patient dining system. And that data is really powerful. And Kevin mentioned it. So we know we can look at what trends are nationally, regionally. We can cut the data by various patient demographics. We can overlay all of our retail sales data and then just general consumer retail data in the region. And the best part about it is it's just taken all the guesswork out. So we can get to the point now with our menus, even if streamlined, that we know our recommendations will make a mark. And, and I think that's the important part. And again, that integration outside of the right menu options really drive safety too. And, Kevin touched on this. It's, simplification in the data, it sounds technical, but what it's really allowed us to do is be really flexible. He mentioned the grilled cheese example. We can really drive hospitality in a very different way when you think about this underlying infrastructure. So what do we want to do for many? What's that overall menu that you would have at the hospital? How might you customize that for a certain patient set? So think about labor and delivery. Maybe the way they order and the options that you provide to them are different. And then how do you get down to that individual personalized experience that just fits that, patient's needs? And I think that's the magic of the systems and the data that allow us to do that.
Yeah, because I think that's the future is personalized nutrition, right? Yes, they are all patients, but man, you talk about whether you're talking about pediatric or maternity or someone with heart disease or someone that just simply broke their leg, you can't treat them all the same.
That's right. That's right.
They don't all have the same needs. And I think a great example of that is the work we did with the major health system recently. They had 28, speaking of streamlining, they had 28 hospitals, and they were big and bold enough to say, hey, we are looking to drive some consistency and standardization throughout the business.
Okay.
And it's not often we get clients that are ready to go all the way. And they were like, in order for us to be the brand we want to be in the community, we understand the food is medicine and what role that plays. We were able to roll out one single menu, obviously tweaked a little bit for regionality, across 28 hospitals on one single day.
Wow.
It made all the difference in the world for our teams to be able to execute, because now we're all kind of holding hands and doing the same things at the same way. It allowed us to execute at such a high level around standardization, and the results haven't lied. I think the hospitality scores are up. Quality of food scores are up. Food costs is continuing to be better and better, and so there's some real power in the consistency and standardization across the business.
Let me ask you, Kevin, about your culinary team, and now that we're just streamlining, how are they reacting to it? What is their take on it?
I've never, in the history of organization, never seen more passion and energy around, the patient component.
Yeah.
Many times I'd have said, hey, what are the chefs working on? They would have shown me a picture of a great catering that they did for the president maybe, or they'd have shown me something cool they did in retail, but rarely would it have been on the patient side. And I got to tell you, the last several years, it's been amazing the energy that new menu development has brought back to our teams on the patient side. In the back of the house, many of those people have been working there for a long time in healthcare. They stick around.
Yeah.
Many times the same person's been making the salads the same way for 10 years or so. Changing that menu also energizes some of that, right? It also, on the client side, lets people know that you understand the power of food and medicine as medicine. And I think it sends a really clear message throughout the whole hospital about, hey, we're pretty serious about the food nutrition thing. This is not just the food service people, dietary down the hallway.
Right.
These people are partners of ours, and I think that partnership is really important.
Gina, do you see the same results from the clients' side?
Yeah, I mean, at risk of repeating what Kevin said, I'll just reinforce it. It's great to see how re-energized our teams are about what they're doing. It's the menu choices, but it's just that pride in what's on the plate, and that's just really exciting. And I think our partners are excited as well, From a nurse's perspective, when you think about alignment from retail choices to a patient menu, they can now speak to patients about what's on the menu and share their personal preferences, and being able to engage around that and have that connection. Supply chain really likes the simplified ordering guides, and that we can really manage cost and consistency. And so, I just think it's great that at all levels of the organization, a senior leader, a CEO, your COOs, down to our, frontline teams at all levels, all excited about the same program, is pretty cool.
It is.
The results show it. Kevin touched on this some. Our quality of food results across the company have improved quarter after quarter for almost 2 years now. And so, the metrics don't lie, which, at the end of the day, we want to drive that great patient experience. We can have this cool new menu, but if it doesn't lead to a better experience, why do it? And the fact that it has, it's pretty exciting.
Just fascinating stuff. And Morrison is definitely just leading the way with it when it comes to the food in the hospitals. And like you said to begin with, wasn't always the brightest talking point, but now it is. And you guys are changing that. So thank you very much. And thanks for joining us.
Super. Thanks for having us.
You're welcome.
Yeah.